If you're anything like us, you want the best for your guns. And that's why we're gonna show you how we took our gun from this to this in 4 easy steps. Hey, we're BulletWhale Games. Last time we showed you how we added online co-op to our game, and this week we'll be continuing with the gun feel. So without further ado, let's get into it. Step 1. Shotguns don't fire yellow projectiles. Instead we'll be using raycasting to model our bullets. It's a technique used by games like Doom, Counter-Strike and Call of Duty. How it basically works is that we're going to draw a line from the center of a camera in the direction we're looking. If that line happens to cross an enemy, we'll apply some damage. The advantage to this technique is that it's computationally efficient and it feels very fast because detecting a hit is instantaneously. For our shotgun, we'll be firing in multiple rays with a randomized spread. As a result of all these changes, aiming has become incredibly hard. It used to be that you could use the previous shot as a way to orient your next one, but with invisible rays that's just not possible. That's why we've added a crosshair to the game as well. With those changes, the gun is now acting a lot more realistically, but it's lacking a lot of visual feedback. And with that, we're gonna move on to the next step. Step 2. More visual feedback. So as mentioned before, the bullets have now become completely invisible, which isn't really what we want, so we're going to introduce tracers. Tracers are small particle systems that move along the direction of a bullet at incredible speeds. They're basically used to simulate bullets traveling. Even though raycasting is instantaneous and these particles are taking a long time compared to that, the human eye isn't fast enough to really notice the difference, which gives us the illusion of traveling bullets. We're also going to be adding some decals. Decals are basically simulations of the bullet's impact, with placing a graphic that represents a bullet hole. Next to that, we'll also be adding some hit particles. Whenever we hit a surface, we'll have some dust coming off the surface, representing basically the impact of the bullet itself as well. Finally, we'll be adding a hit sound. These can differ per material, but in this case we're just using a metallic impact sound. The last few cues that we've discussed were about missing enemies. So let's now discuss some cues that are actually about hitting enemies. We'll start with hit markers, which are little indicators that pop up on the crosshair once you've hit something. Then, we're also going to make enemies glow on hit. It's an effective way to give feedback about what enemy was hit and is especially useful with AoE weapons that can hit multiple enemies. The glow is a little bit delayed compared to when the enemy is hit, and this is done to simulate the travel time of a bullet. Step 3. Clipping through walls. So we fixed a lot of the visual aspects of our gun, but there's still a jarring issue. The gun is huge and will clip through any wall that we approach. There's a lot of ways to solve this problem. Some games use procedural animations to bend the gun away, some use different camera layers, and we are using a tiny gun. What we're basically doing is an optical illusion. We're using perspective to make the gun appear full size, but in reality it's super small and close to the camera. This way, the player's collider is larger than the gun itself and the gun is within this collider, meaning that the gun can never collide with a wall. Step 4. FOV independent gun rendering. FOV stands for field of view, and it's a very important aspect of first-person games. A lot of people have different preferences for the setting namely. But in our game, at this moment when we change the FOV, we see that it also affects the way the gun is rendered. The way that we fix this is by using a shader that will recalculate the FOV for all first-person objects. This way, the gun will always be rendered at a fixed FOV, but the player can still change the FOV of the rest of the scene. And there we have it, the old way of firing versus the new one. The new one also changes gameplay quite drastically. It used to be about just spamming projectiles, but now you want to get close to enemies and fire at them, hitting all small bullets, or you want to get at a range and hit multiple enemies at once. So whatever you do, spamming isn't that good anymore, and that adds a lot of strategic depth, something we also want to do with the next weapons. Hey there, and there we are at the end of the video. If you learned anything from this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to be kept up to date. Did we miss any cool tricks you want us to know about? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. If you want to help out with testing the game, be sure to join the Discord. We'll be posting a build very soon in there.